that'll kind of segue into the next segment, where we are going to meet the owner of the Reader's Oasis in Quartzsite here and have a exclusive interview with Paul Weiner, the Naked Bookseller. Stay tuned. You don't have to be in Quartzsite very long before you see or at least hear about the Naked Bookseller. Very strange. What's even more strange is that when we were assigned our campsite, we had no idea that the next morning when we woke up, we would see the naked guy as our next door neighbor getting on his tricycle, going to work like he does every day. Obviously this was intriguing and certainly strange, and so we were able to arrange this exclusive interview with Paul Weiner here at the bookstore. So check it out. Well, let me take you back to your performance. And this is also a lifestyle, right?
Oh, my whole life has been a lifestyle.
So this is not just a stage character.
Faced with the challenge as a nudist, how do you make a living? If you got to work to make a living. I tried art modeling. It was bullshit. It's too boring. I wasn't meditating. And so I went to performance. Discovered when I walked naked out on stage, it really confused the audience because they have no context.
So this naked guy has been naked for a long time.
Most of the people who knew who Sweetpie was also didn't know who Paul Weiner was.
Yes.
Because I never used my name for 25 years. I was Pie to those who knew me, and then a variant of Sweetie Pea, Sweetie Pie, Sweet Pie, Sweet Pea, anything they could remember similar to the name I had given myself. And I'd given myself the name Sweet Pie because I realized it was hard to get gigs when all you were was a description of your act, the naked guy who played the piano. And so I gave it a name, Sweet Pie, from an old Red Fox joke.
And when was your first performance?
Late 60s.
Late 60s.
And it embodied also a first concert at McGill University. Prior to playing on that outdoor concert stage, I had only played one bar in Burlington, Vermont. This is before Beer and Boogie. And because he had a piano, an old upright piano in his long, narrow ballroom, I talked him into letting me play Saturday nights at his bar. And I would collect 50 cents a head at the door, and he wanted half of it because he had to shut off his jukebox, which he owned, which had all these early 50s rock and roll in it, which paid his rent. I learned from listening to Liberace discuss his whole philosophy. As the clown of opulence, he was asked, why do you always live so opulently? Don't you ever just want to put on a pair of jeans and pass unnoticed? And he said no, because every year he's not home, he's on the road. And he says it's such a privilege to have a total stranger recognize you and come over to you and treat you as their friend. That's why Sweetpie lived in Persona. That's the lesson I learned from Liberace.
So you're originally from the East Coast, then?
Yeah. And
Vermont?
And in Vermont. Well, no, actually, I live in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
North of Boston. I lived 12 years in Vermont.
So who were your
heroes?
Who were your musical heroes? Who influences your music?
An odd combination. As a performing musical comic, Jimmy Durante, Victor Borga. I don't think I'll live long enough to ever be as unique and as good as, because they were the best. But I became as good as I could possibly be as Sweetpie. I was equally unique. My music was the best music I could play. and the only music I truly loved, which was Fats Domino style rhythm and blues. I wanted to be a Fats Domino as a little kid. I lived my dream as Sweetpie for 25 years, and I'm going to, I think, be able to live the rest of the dream, and that's to continue it for a lifetime till I die on stage doing it. So I became a stripper. Back when I started, male dancer or male stripper meant female impersonator. There was no males stripping for women as an entertainment. For 8 years, I was a unique burlesque novelty. My federal court case opened up the male exotic entertainment industry. I was a unique burlesque novelty until I won my federal court case against the state of Vermont, who had taken the determined step to outlaw by arbitrary declaration Sweetpie, in quotes, as an obscene, lewd, indecent act and or individual, and the presence of any, quote, Sweetpie, meaning you acting like me, would be reason for immediate revocation of any beverage license permanently, and also the closure of any publicly licensed event.
So not only did you have this stage name, but a Sweetpie became someone who performed naked?
I was naked.
Were you a term? Was your stage name actually, did it become a term?
Sweetpie?
Yeah.
Well, Vermont put it in quotes, meaning if someone decided to do what I do, they gave it a name. My name became, in a sense, a criminal act. I took them to federal court. And the American Civil Liberties Union took my case. So the federal government, tax money, paid a 6-month court case in federal court. I won.
So what year was it?
That was the early 70s.
The early 70s?
Yeah, in Burlington Federal Court. And I changed the mandate and structure of every state local authority in the country. In a sense, my case opened up a whole industry, because male dancers started 6 months after I won in federal court. I also won the freedom of speech case. Lenny Bruce lost in federal court, and have since, and still to this day, I am the line of free speech on stage, both verbally and physically. The show was me as Paul Weiner was a performance artist named Sweetpie. And what I did as a performance artist required an audience as part of my creative tool. I could never create the songs to the degree I did, or any of the comedy, without an audience for me to respond in relationship to. That's why I'm a performance artist.
So you traveled.
I lived for 25 years with no address.
Aha. So Paul Weiner was a full-time RVer. Long ago. I knew I liked this guy.
I traveled all over the East Coast. Every little doing town you can imagine. I didn't play the cities, although I did New York and Boston a bit. But I didn't play the city gigs. My career was the small towns. I was the best act that ever come in that town or region, And I played rural areas. And then I played coast to coast, north and south, through every province of Canada. That took 12 years. With no fixed address, no residence, relying on my $100, $150 a night job every night to give me enough cash flow to continue doing it. I got good enough, I began to make $1,500 a week. But I was still playing the markets where if the bartender got caught serving a minor, it's closed for a week. And I could go up to a locked door. And my money went to tires or a trailer or something. We literally were often broke. And that's when I decided became basically a memory for about 20 years. It's the internet that brought it back to life. Because of all this internet, people had discovered this naked bookseller reminded them of someone they used to know. And the picture hanging up on the other side of that is me from 1974, still recognizable, still dressed the same. There is a Sweetpie page, I'm told, on Facebook. I don't have a computer, so I'm not plugged into the virtual world, really.
Excellent.
I'm still writing songs for an acoustic piano, you know. And I'm turning 70. I realize that the internet amplifies word of mouth to the world through accident and networking and deliberate search. The world finds out about what's going on.
Sure.
And it's taken only a couple of years to get better known internationally as this naked man bookseller than the 25 years by old-fashioned human word of mouth to carry me for 25 years. But now I'm in the nostalgia age of my generation. I play to 1.5 million people. I have return engagements everywhere. Had I worn clothes, I probably would have never been able to have played well enough to attract attention to my music, because I was a primitive self-taught musician. I was not a musician, I was a piano thumper. I could play C, F, and G chords in the key of C, and that's the key I sang in. But over a lifetime I got good. And Count Basie was coming to Sweetpie shows because I had an original left-hand shuffle boogie signature. It was original because I couldn't copy people like him. I now perform as Paul Weiner for general audience. No, nothing adult whatsoever.
So we flash forward a few decades and we find out that Paul's career is actually getting a second wind, so to speak, and he's starting to play engagements again. So we had to check out one of his venues.
So I do the best I can being what I am. Well, I'm going to take this piano to the Colorado River, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to prove she can swim.
So nowadays, the man that has made a career out of performing naked is actually throwing a total irony into his show. And that irony being that he plays the entire show off of the fact that he is wearing clothes.
Right, friends? Make it sound like a sport.
So it's
This just
a strange comedy music thing.
I'm singing better than I used to. My voice deepened and it got stronger. I never took lessons to do any of it. Got sweat on my brow, my ears are bright red. I ate so much chili, I'm Hubby's heaven, not dead. Chili, 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 burns going down, burns coming out. Yeah, it's chili and Quartzsite.
Paul has had no lack of adversity in his life. He lost his daughter quite a few years back and spent a long time recovering from that. And that's where he says he found his real blues. When Celia died, we discovered this town was really a wonderful town to live in.
And you had been here in Quartzsite for how long?
I guess we were here for about 4 years, 5 years. We're still selling the swap meets in a little tent. The town was just amazed us because we were nobody and nothing to the town in our identity. Once she started school, we discovered the town. The town liked us. Joanne got very active with the first PTA. They just liked us and they loved Celia. And when she passed on, even though the town was feuding at the time, the political feuding going on, everything stopped for a while. And hundreds of people were at the church. The Gardens is in memory of Celia. The Gardens is an amazing way that hundreds of people have been able to touch into themselves and remember people important to Quartzsite and to them in the Gardens. It's a no-structured memorial gardens as a desert botanical gardens in the park. But each person can design their own area. It's like a patchwork quilt of memories. And eventually there'll be so much stuff out there that even I expect we will be able to get a brown sign on the highway. When I lost my daughter, it was very difficult for me to even think about playing any song on the piano, because suddenly I was overwhelmed, perhaps for the first time in my life, by what's called real blues. I've written a new song about my beautiful, beautiful daughter Celia. I start each new day with a memory of you. I start each new day with a memory of you. I say, hello Celia, what are we gonna do? Maybe play all day, just like we used to do. Hey, maybe take a walk in the woods and pick some wild flowers too.